So today we are at Nimans, Bangalore. So there is a study being conducted on Isha Yoga practices on brain health and cognition. So Ankit and I am invited to be a part of it. So we'll be doing some practices and they're going to see how yoga has impacted our brain health. And this study is also being collaborated with Sadhguru Center for Conscious Planet at Harvard University.
So let's go to the Neurobiology Center at Nimans, Bangalore. Come follow us. This is Akitana, so he's going to support us in doing this research.
Right now, there are 25 people with us working on various aspects of yoga and meditation. So we are not just working on Isha Yoga, we are working on different traditions of yoga. So both are Isha Hatha Yoga teachers, Shiny and Ankitana. As I was telling, this is the only lab which is working on different traditions. Because if you look at the West, the primary focus of their institutions is mindfulness meditation. It's like they have explored Buddhist traditions a lot, but not focused on the yogic traditions at all. And Buddhist traditions and yogic traditions differ in some very critical ways. They don't have kriyas, for example. They don't have much of Hatha Yoga. And I think these two make a lot of difference when it comes to kind of impact these have on one's body and brain. Logo of Nimans itself has Samatvam Yoga Uchyate as its caption. Yoga is equanimity.
Wow.
So yoga is part of Nimans for a very, very long time. These are all our studies from 1975 actually. This was the first study in India on consciousness. This is my study. So this is where we do sleep studies.
Okay.
So he's Dr. Gulshan.
Hello, good to meet you.
He's working on dreams. His research is on dreams, lucid dreaming, dreams, understanding the neurophysiology of dreams and all that. So he's like a dream expert, sleep expert actually.
Very interesting job.
Yeah, so for today's research, we'll be using this thing called as EEG. So this is the EEG cap. So EEG is called as electroencephalography. So each one is an electrode. What you see is an electrode, and this electrode picks up the electrical activity from the brain. So our brain is an electrochemical device. So if you know, there are 86 billion neurons in the human brain. And when it comes to the number of neurons, it's not the human brain which is the highest, but the African elephant. African elephant has 250 billion neurons. So there are different oscillations starting from delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma oscillations. So delta oscillations means that which have 0.5 to 4 cycles, and then there is theta oscillations which is from 4 to 8 hertz. That is 4 to 8 cycles per second. And these theta oscillations are seen during various other aspects like memory and then there is alpha oscillations which range from 8 to 12 hertz. These alpha oscillations are produced by anybody who even not having any meditation experience. Somebody just closes their eyes, there is alpha. And then above 30 hertz is called as gamma oscillations. So these are the high burst. It's like this basically, this burst of oscillations. And these oscillations are something which are very fascinating because these are generally not seen in people who don't have any yoga or meditation practice. They are usually seen when somebody is doing something complex, extremely complex. Mathematician doing something really complex. What I've been observing in my study so far is that this gamma is produced along with delta oscillations and theta oscillations. That means although the person is very deeply attentive and perceptive, he's also deeply relaxed. Because I have done so many recordings so far, and it's like each meditator has a story to tell. And it's quite an incredible stories which they share with us. For example, one of the meditators from Bangalore, it's quite remarkable what has happened to him after his practices. So it has gone up to such an extent that he sleeps only for 2.5 hours per day right now. And he says that he can go up to 4 days without sleep and still be all right, without somebody noticing that, okay, you're not sleeping.
Yeah.
And even for the 2.5 hours, he tries how to sleep. If given a choice, he would sleep for even less.
Certain aspects which Sadhguru speaks about are not measurable in an electronic device.
Definitely.
There are metaphysical dimensions.
Definitely.
That would be very difficult to put on a logical state.
Definitely.
And I think what we're talking about in meditation is a little beyond that.
Definitely. It's because what these devices like EEG can measure are only physical. They can't measure something which is non-physical. So, but if somebody is in touch with that non-physical dimension, it leaves a footprint on the physical. That footprint is what we are studying. Head size was beyond what we had.
Hers is fine, normal.
Yeah, she's like, no, yeah. So this is potassium chloride or KCl, which is basically acting like an electrolyte. This is basically the conduction medium for the current to pass from the brain. So we'll mix some 11 grams with 1 liter of water. This we are connecting to the amplifier. This is the amplifier which will amplify the signal of the EEG, of the brain oscillations. Occipital lobe. This is the one which processes vision. Everything related to vision happens here. And this is called as the frontal lobe. This is the one which is responsible for reasoning, logical thinking, judgment, decision making, etc. This part of the brain is called as temporal lobe. This is the region responsible for audition as well as spatial navigation, etc. This part of the region is responsible. It's called as parietal lobe. So each lobe has its different functions. I'm trying to understand as part of my PhD the impact of Isha Yoga practices, especially Shunya and Shambhavi, but also we wanted to check out what happens to the brain and these oscillations during chanting. There's so many powerful chants in Sanskrit like Nirvana Shatakam by Adi Shankara. We just wanted to see as an observation what happens during a chant like this, although not part of my PhD work. So as you can see right now, it's normal. You don't see these high frequency oscillations when Akka is sitting there. So Shani Akka, can you start chanting?
Manobuddhyahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jihve nacha grhana netre nacha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayu chidananda rupa shivoham.
Yeah, so what you can see here right now, these are all the gamma oscillations, the high frequency oscillations. These are the intense oscillations which can be seen here, which are gamma oscillations which are in the range of 30 Hertz. So now Akka stopped chanting, you can see the disappearance of the gamma oscillations. So this is during chanting, this is after chanting, so the difference is clearly discernible. So we have done some group analysis already. So based on that, what we find is during Sukha Kriya, there is high occipital gamma. Occipital means this is the occipital region. Okay. There we observed higher gamma oscillations, and then frontal, this is the frontal region. Frontal region we observed theta oscillations. So it indicates basically that high state of relaxation, deep state of relaxation, at the same time attention, both are happening at the same time. That's what we observed. And even for Shambhavi we observed breath watching, we observed high occipital gamma oscillations. And yeah, it's different for each person. So this one, for example, this one portion, in this particular moment there was a very low activity. So it keeps transitioning actually, low activity, high activity, but predominantly this portion will be like mostly active and this portions. This is the differences you can see clearly. This is a group level. This is for the advanced practitioners, this is beginners, this is controls. You can see the differences.
So the front part and
Front and the back portion. See the controls. There's nothing actually.
controls means?
Those who don't have any pranayama or meditation history at all, they just like you can see the differences. So clear differences. And these are the brain regions in which the activity is more significant. This is the theta oscillations. So there are two major objectives why we are doing this research. One is, as you might be knowing, right now modern medicine is working discreetly. The integration of yoga and meditation has not happened with modern medicine yet. So right now, for example, I have diabetes. I go to a doctor. No doctor would tell me, please do some hatha yoga, please do some kriyas, it will help you get better. And it's not their fault, they're not telling. It's just that it's not part of their curriculum. And it's not part of their curriculum because there is no evidence to show that yoga works at reversing diabetes. Like concrete evidence is not there yet. And once the evidence is there, it will become part of the curriculum. And once it's part of the curriculum, doctors will learn it and then they will give it to the patients. So I did a survey last year on the impact of Isha Yoga during the COVID-19 pandemic on one's well-being. In that study, we showed that those who practice regularly, long-term Isha practitioners, their well-being is so higher compared to those who've been practicing for a short time and those who don't practice any yoga at all. Since COVID-19 pandemic, the number of mental health issues, especially anxiety and depression, have increased by 2 to 3 times. Right now, according to estimates, there are 1 billion people on the planet suffering from clinical anxiety and depression. 1 billion, that is almost 1 in every 7 people on the planet. And the number of suicidal cases also have increased manifold, especially in the US. So because of this, it's very, very important that the science of yoga is brought to the world in a way which is understandable to the common person and logically verifiable. And other thing is, we also would be exploring not just the yoga practices, but also various aspects in yoga which are scientifically, don't seem scientific. Buddha Shuddhi, for example, what happens with Buddha Shuddhi? What happens with initiation? Sadhguru says that if a person is initiated, especially the brahmacharis or brahmacharis, what happens is even their physical appearance changes. That's not possible scientifically. So that's what we also will be looking at in the future.
So today's experience was really very enlightening, I can say, because there were so many things about the brain I didn't know. I was doing meditation and practices, but I was happy with my experience. On a technical level, what it does to the brain, just to see that, the results of it was amazing. And brain is very sophisticated and complex. I mean, like the way Saketana was mentioning, the concept of perception is still a little beyond science. And as you delve into it, you can just go into it as much as possible. Thank you, Saketana, for everything that you're doing.
This is quite a task because you may not be aware that for doing this research, it takes at least 3 to 4 hours per participant. If you would like to say something.
What I need right now is people like Shaini Akka and Ankitana who are committed practitioners. What we are looking at right now can have a lot of impact because once we establish the science kind of thing behind these practices, it can go a long way in making a layman come to yoga. It can inspire a layperson to take up yoga and just lead a life of well-being. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Namaskaram.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and share, and do subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram.
To learn classical Hatha Yoga, visit classicalhathayoga.in. Link in the bio.